Daytona International Motor Speedway. We're with Erik Skirmants, Porsche Motorsport North America. Thanks for joining us on our show. Kind of an impromptu talk about Porsche Motorsports in general while this HSR race is happening, but thanks for joining us on the show.
Oh, thank you. Really appreciate it. Big fan of all the work you've done, and it's been great to have the diversity of guests you've had, and it's actually been educational for me because as I've been in a Porsche family all my life, but taking over the role of workshop manager, now modern and historic workshop manager at Porsche Motorsport, there's so many stories and bits of information out there. It's fun to catch up on the community with the little bit of free time I got.
Nice. Thank you for the kind words. We're a big fan of what you guys do in general. So in this episode, we're going to discuss basically what Porsche Motorsports does and, what some of the nice things that they do and, some of your background as well, with your father and the 356 and the air-cooled stuff and, there's a lot of things that people don't know, including ourselves, and a lot of people at this track that they know of Porsche Motorsports, right, but they don't really know what Porsche Motorsports does. So, what are some of this?
Understand what their needs are, understand what they enjoy about racing.
Yeah.
So that I can talk to them about, okay, you're a gentleman racer trying to get the most mileage out of a 962 and just go out and enjoy it. Exactly. Or, wow, no, you're trying to go down to the serious level. You're trying to win these races.
Yeah. You're pushing
trying to
the
run
limit.
the car as
you're
hard
pushing
as you can.
the limit.
So you know what makes them tick and how you can best serve them.
And that's a great point that you make as well, because then you can almost dial in what the customer needs is from a rebuild standpoint.
Absolutely.
As far as look, okay, we need to have this at 10 tenths because this is where he's going to put the car.
Yeah. We haven't done it yet, but Eric and Alvin and Derek and I have all talked about it. Certainly there are going to be customers, we're going to talk to them and say, look, you have a very rare, very expensive engine. Is this car now a show and parade car, or are you going racing?
Yeah.
Because there will be the day when we're going to build an engine that's just going to run in the car.
Yeah.
We haven't done it yet, but there will be a time when that's appropriate.
Exactly. Well, I mean, prime example, like one of our good friends here at Alegra Motorsports, he's got the freaking 904, and he keeps the engine out of it because it's such, the twin cam.
Yeah.
You don't want a grenade that just driving from your house that you're renting in Laguna Seca to the track just because the engine's so valuable. Right. So you rebuild the engine, you keep it out of the car. It's more valuable on an engine stand.
Right.
You put a 911 engine in the car, you drive it for what it is, and then if you ever want to resell the car, you put the twin cam back in, and you're like, well, that's the twin cam. It came with the car, and then it's ready to go.
Yeah, we've definitely had conversations with customers, even at some of the cup levels. If they have, say, a 993 Cup car or a 964 Cup car, look, put your original engine on the shelf. We'll build you a runner.
Yeah.
We'll build you something you can go out and beat on.
Exactly.
And really enjoy yourself. And it's very important to them that they protect their investment.
Of course.
But get to use their car. And that's one of the things also I wanted to mention was Porsche Motorsport has committed. We showed a 962C Type 93583 engine last year at Rennsport. That engine has now been validated. We sell a basically turnkey water-cooled 962 engine with all newly manufactured parts. And that engine isn't that exciting to many Americans because the C engine wasn't as popular over here as the air-cooled and the air-water. But in Europe, it was the popular car. There were 100 962Cs. So the next
and they're special cars.
Yes. The next step is we have a contact over there, Gunter Staus. We have a good connection to everybody. I'm going over to Germany in December to sit down with several different teams. We have a conduit now to reach out and say, look, the next motorsport part we need, we have to remanufacture air-cooled 962 heads. That's what we want next.
Okay.
And we can go down through the process of what do we need, because Porsche has made that commitment that we will support Porsche race cars like Classic supports Porsche street cars. They will be as viable to continue to operate as the street cars are.
And we've talked about this on prior episodes with Ray, but you can relate to this from a motorsport standpoint, and I think we've talked about this offline, where when you guys need parts that aren't being produced, there's a long process to be able to get that part produced where you can actually say, okay, we're going to use this part for this car.
Business case for it.
Yeah. Oh, I need heads for fill in the blank. But no one makes the heads, so like
Right.
we have to make the heads, and now you have to vet out the process to make
Right.
sure everything's perfect before it's okay to say
Yep.
that we're going to use these on this car, and it's a painstaking process,
Yeah.
correct?
It is, and it's an investment, but it's one that Porsche stands behind. And again, because our motorsports global operations are so large, there's still a business case there. Not just by having, say you could do it with exorbitant prices, but by having enough volume, you could put things out there that are tolerable. But even on the pricing side, it's interesting. I've had a few discussions with customers, never in a confrontational sense, but to say, look, you own a $5 million car or a $3 million car. It's worth $1 million if it doesn't run. What's your engine worth?
Exactly.
Is it worth a $200,000 rebuild?
Exactly.
Which rarely happens, but if we get that high,
But now it's $3 million again.
Yeah.
So you got 1.8 back.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great way to look at it. I mean, it's an important factor.
Yeah.
So let's transition a little bit, background-wise. Father, big 356 guy, right? So educate us on that, like even geographically. Where did that occur at? Like, where is that happening?
Sure.
And like, he's still in the business, he's still doing it. And like, what was that like for you growing up with that?
I had the best childhood ever. So I grew up, my father, Erik Skirmants, was a 356 racer in the 60s. He was a degreed engineer, worked for the Tank Automotive Commando and military vehicles, but started to develop his own 356 knowledge, started working on customers' 356s. So in 1976, he came home, walked into the family room and said, I now work in the shop behind the house full time. I just quit my job. That was the end of that.
Hopefully I got to put food on the table for you guys.
He did. Oh, he made huge sacrifices. Yeah. There's so many fun stories about how he won all the races he won. He won 90 SCCA races out of 150 he ever raced.
Wow.
He's run over 500 of the 860 races he's raced in. 500 of 860.
That's incredible.
860 races, all in 356s. But growing up in that environment, I was around the SCCA circle. Vintage racing wasn't a thing yet. We were vintage. And then as that evolved in the 90s, he had to transition because that's where his customers went. So he left the SCCA circle and went there. I was in the SCCA circle and took over a company called SCCA Enterprises later, which was supporting and building. We did 1,000 spec racers while I was there and several thousand engines. Ironically, they were dynoed, sealed, and equalized engines, just like a cup engine.
Nice.
So it was a very, very comparable background.
Yeah.
But growing up, we had a Stuska water brake dyno in the backyard.
Wow.
Dad experimented with 356s. The water brake was in the middle of a garage like this, and there was no shield. So you just kind of turn towards the exit when you start running the engine. It had the big old torque.
Cover the important things, right?
It's like, okay, all right.
Shield the innards and all the important stuff here.
Exactly. So, but it was the knowledge he needed. He had the flow bench, he had the dyno, and he built up his knowledge, so he knew exactly what to do to get basically 165 to 170 horsepower out of a legal 40 over Solex carbureted 356 engine.
That's impressive.
And he'll run 20 hours on a rebuild.
Wow.
So he'll only do his own engines now, but he does gearboxes for customers still. In the early 70s, he founded the 356 registry with a friend from Ohio, Jerry Kaiser, and the two of them founded it. And the 356 registry was literally a log on his desk, and he wrote 356 registry on it, and he registered every 356 he found.
Oh, wow.
So I'm one of the few people who can say I spilled coffee on the 356 registry because it was an object.
That's how analog it was.
Yeah. So, but Warren, Michigan was where we were.
Okay.
My dad was born in Germany, Wiesbaden, displaced persons camp.
Okay.
Of 100% Latvian.
Okay.
But he was separated from his father before birth.
Oh, wow.
Born in Germany, came over to Chicago when he was 5. He was raised by a single mom who just busted her butt, put him through college.
That's impressive.
Yeah, started at Wayne State, ended up at GMI.
Okay.
And had a great career going in engineering, but he enjoyed the Porsche side of things better.
He chased his passion. And he made it work for him.
Yeah, I mean, he used to win races on other people's cast-off tires. He used to build engines out of, not that he would take good parts from a customer, but a customer wants to get a rebuild once every year.
Yeah.
So if he got in a piston that was good for 2 more races, he'd put her in his engine and rebuild it 2 races later.
Yeah.
So a lot of his engines were out of cast-off parts.
Okay.
And they were the prototype, and they were ugly.
Yeah.
You'd look under his car, and everything under there was the original. And then he'd make a prettier version for the customers. So it was all about reliability and speed. And it was just a great upbringing going around mostly the Midwest, but then, the runoffs at Road Atlanta was my childhood.
Yeah.
I mean, every year, just that was Mecca to go down there.
That's impressive. Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing.